Every day, a lot of women impact our society and maintain a historical context throughout years and upon generations. And there's a month called the National Women's History Month, and in 2016 it honors women who have shaped American history and its future through their public service and government leadership. Often, they are also often overlooked, undervalued, and collectively they have dramatically influenced our public policy and the building of viable institutions and organizations, from endorsing basic human rights to ensuring access and equal opportunity for all Americans. They have led the way in establishing a stronger and more democratic country for the United States. Now, there's a lot of women that have led to this success and into this acknowledgement, and definitely a lot of women have impacted this month and why this month even exists. Each of these public leaders succeeded against great odds. The diversity of their experiences demonstrates both the challenges and opportunities women in public service have faced, their ability to use the art of collaboration to create inclusive solutions and nonpartisan policies, and to spread and inspire future generations. Now, I want to mention a couple of ideal women especially to acknowledge during this month. And one of them I would like to mention is Anne Hutchinson. Now, Anne Hutchinson definitely had a big impact in the historical context. She pioneered the principles of civil liberty and religious freedom, which were written in the Constitution of the United States. And she became the first woman preacher, and she was the fearless defender of freedom in New England. She survived the persecution and death, and it survives till this day for future generations. Now, she was an early champion of religious liberty and free speech. She was the one who got kicked out of the Massachusetts Bay Colony for challenging the authority of the Anglican Church, and she became one of the founders of Rhode Island. Now, this is very important because a lot of women were very scared to speak their opinion during this time period, and she was one of the first to advocate this idea of religious freedom and to practice their own personal beliefs. And you can give a lot of credit to Anne Hutchinson for the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights, the freedom of religion, because she was one of the first advocates that was especially female at the time, who definitely expressed this opinion without any societal bias, societal neglect. She definitely advocated this idea. And another individual I want to mention is Rosa Parks. Now, a lot of you know Rosa Parks. She basically, breaking down the story, she was an African American, and at the time this was during a lot of segregation. She went on a public bus, and usually they separated seats, whites only and African Americans only. And she took the courage. She had the courage to sit in the seating of an where it says whites only, and they encouraged her to get off the bus because she was apparently violating what rights, and she refused to. And in the end, she was arrested. And this is very important because she is a main factor in the advocacy of Black rights, and she became known as the mother of the civil rights movement. And one important impact that she had was she inspired a lot of boycotting for public transportation, and there's a lot of segregation. And because of that, and this was occurring in Alabama, Montgomery, Dr. King actually gave a speech in regard to the boycotting, and Dr. King became very well known, and as a result, you all know Martin Luther King and his impact on the rights of African Americans. So Rosa Parks definitely had a lasting impact on society, and she definitely changed the way African Americans are today. She changed how they are being treated, and now she basically endorsed a lot of freedom because of this one action that she took. She inspired thousands upon thousands of people to do what she did and advocate for this freedom and advocate for these rights. And definitely this, especially her being female, definitely has an impact on society and for women across the world. So especially that's one person to acknowledge during Women's History Month. And another one I want to acknowledge is she's a very big one for she was an advocator. Her name was Dorothy Dix, and she was an educator and a social reformer whose devotion to the welfare of the mentally ill this drastically led to a widespread of international reforms. Now, Dorothy Dix, the biggest impact in society was that she changed the amount of respect people with mental illnesses received, and the care that they got. Basically, her desire was to increase the conditions in mental asylums for these individuals. And she was just a New England teacher, and she traveled over 60,000 miles in 8 years just to increase the conditions and speak against the inhumane treatment of these insane prisoners. And I gotta say, this was definitely a big impact because no one spoke about these concepts, and for a woman to speak about these ideas during that time period is definitely impacting, definitely inspiring, and due to her, she definitely did have she was described as the most effective advocate of humanitarian reform in American mental institutions during the 19th century. And this is definitely impactful. This was there was a lot of reforms. This was during the time of the Second Great Awakening, in fact, which was that whole entire religious movement. And there was a lot of change going on in America, and she was definitely an impacting one for the way mentally disabled people are being treated nowadays. They're being treated they're respected now, and definitely receiving the care that they deserve. And Dorothy Dix is definitely an impacting one. So basically, in summary, Anne Hutchinson was an advocate of freedom of religion, and she was one of the first to speak about it, and in the end inspired the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights, freedom of religion. Rosa Parks advocated freedom for African Americans, and she inspired a lot of women to go out and speak about their views about how they need freedom. And now you can see today the progression of Rosa Parks. And lastly, Dorothy Dix. She has impact on the way people with mental illnesses are being treated, and definitely a lot of people respect her for that, especially for a woman during this time period to go out, travel all those hours, travel for years to make an impact and speak about these issues is definitely impactful. So you can conclude that a lot of women today in society have impacted the way America is today, the way the United States is today, and it's thanks to these women that they had an everlasting impact on our society, and it's definitely a beneficial one to the best.